Welcome to the Six Figure Influencer podcast. I am so happy you are here. Okay, I'm going to do something that I'm not very good at, but I'm trying to be better. And I'm going to try and make this a 20-minute long episode or shorter. Okay, I think I can do it. Let's go. Okay. All right. So I got this request for this topic and I love it. And I have so much to say and so much to riff on. And the question or the topic came from my girl, Michelle, and she asked what my advice and tips would be for beginner coaches. And I have several. So let's go ahead and get into it. So number one, I think the first thing that we need to discuss is like, what is considered a beginner coach? And it just depends on who you ask. My initial thought was like, maybe in your first year, you'd be considered a beginner. But again, everybody's different, right? Like some people come to the table with years and years of experience in a field, and then they switch to coaching. So, like it just depends for everybody. And in my personal experience, I know I felt like a beginner probably until my third year. Personally, that's just how I felt. I just felt like all over the freaking place. So if that's how you're feeling, it's a rite of passage for most of us. Don't worry, you'll figure it out if you keep going. Okay, so I think my first piece of advice that I would give for any beginner coach or coach, we don't even have to call you beginner, like any coach who just feels like I felt, and I've felt so many times in my business, which is just like, man, when is this momentum going to pick up? When is this going to click into place? When am I going to feel confident as a coach, as a mentor? Here's my first piece of advice for you. Number one, I would say like right out the gate, do not stress about identifying and defining a niche for yourself and trying to put yourself into a box. Now, there are a lot of people that might have been shocked or might be shocked to hear that. And there's a lot of people that would wholeheartedly disagree with what I just said. There are a lot of people who have full businesses and offers around niches. And that's fantastic because I think there are a lot of people out there who want and desire to define themselves with a niche. And if that's you, great. If that's what you want to do, awesome. Define the niche. Okay. But for other people who maybe you've tried or maybe you've heard that's what you're supposed to do, and it feels a bit suffocating, it feels a bit permanent because you're creative and you have a lot of different ideas and you're like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to start here, but what if I want to do this? And what if I want to do that? Then don't stress a niche. Like, do not step into the box. You don't have to step into the box. So I recommend getting clear on like where you fall in those camps, being okay with that. And then if you are somebody, and regardless of whether you want a niche or not, start with what you know. Okay. What is a problem that your ideal client has that you can solve now confidently? And then based on that, create offers around that problem that feels so fun for you, that lights you up. So I'm sure you've seen other people put out similar courses to what you're wanting to make. And you've seen many different examples and models of how offers that you could create, but that doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. Like you can have so much fun and you can create whatever it is that you want to create. Go do that, because the more excited you are about the offer, whether it's a 5-module training or 5 weeks of pure Voxer access, like it could look like anything. The more excited you are about it, the more that you're going to sell, and the better you're going to be and more magnetic you're going to be when you're marketing. So that's my first piece of advice. Step out of the box. The box is not necessary. Start with that problem, create what lights you up, and know that, of course, just like you as a human, your business is going to grow and evolve over time, and so do your offers. So don't stress and overthink, well, I don't know how to do this thing yet, but I want to. And Are people going to think it's weird that I switch? No. They're only going to think it's weird if you act weird about it. So, yay. That's number one. My second piece of advice for anybody who is a beginner or just like is waiting to find their flow in their coaching business is to remember that you are your brand. You're the star of the show, not the niche, not the industry, not your business, not the product you sell, the service you sell, none of that. Like, you are the brand. So it behooves you to share as much as you feel comfortable about other things in your life that aren't related to your business, because all of that is going to build trust and credibility. It's probably going to make your life more fun. And there are people that are following you and that will follow you that aren't going to be in the market for what you sell just yet. So if you're only talking about your business, then they're going to get bored and they're going to start watching somebody else, right? Like, why would you pay attention to somebody if they only talk about a business or an offer that you can't buy yet? So if you balance out your content, talking about you as a human and you as a business owner and, whatever defines you, and just have fun with it, that is going to keep other people watching you. It's going to be other opportunities for people to become hooked on you as the brand. And then they're watching you, building their like, know, and trust. And then once they're ready to invest, who do you think they're going to shop with? You, because they're watching you. So that's my second piece of advice. Number 3, I think a big mistake that a lot of beginner coaches make, and I made this mistake as well, is waiting too long to sell. Waiting to feel perfect, waiting for everything to be perfect, for the stars align. And it makes sense because if you've never sold online before or in this type of business, you're going to feel some nervousness. You're going to feel a little unsure in the beginning. But I would say, like, start earlier. And it kind of goes with the other pieces of advice I'm about to give you that would like help you do this sooner. But you can start setting the stage for what's to come so much sooner. So even if you don't have an offer yet, you can be talking about the problem that you're going to be solving. You can be educating people. And again, building like, know, and trust by sharing about you as the creator, as the center of your brand now, so that when an offer is ready, then people are warmed up and they're ready to buy from you. So I would say my third piece of advice is definitely starting to sell and take clients sooner than you're probably thinking. Like, you want to feel ready, yes. Like you don't want it to be a thing where you're freaking out inside and you force yourself to take a client. But the stars don't have to be aligned. Like, you align the stars. So I think many, many people could have been ready a lot sooner if they maybe heard this piece of advice from somebody that they trusted. And I will say that I've learned more about my business. I've learned more about just my expertise and growing as a mentor myself. And also I've learned more about the offers that I want to create, not from thinking about it, but from actually doing. So it's all theory, like you can read about swimming all day. You can read about driving a car all day long, but until you get behind the wheel, until you jump in the water, it's all just theory. So you're going to learn and expedite your growth once you put yourself in the game. So that'd be my third piece of advice. My fourth would be, if you hear all that and you're like, but I don't know, I don't know how to create an offer. I don't know how to launch. I don't know how to sell. My social media is all over the place. You're just in this place where it's like you're feeling very overwhelmed. Like, you want to take action, but you don't know how. Then my fourth piece of advice would be to, as soon as you can, ask yourself, how can I invest in a mentor? How can I afford to invest in a mentor as soon as possible? A mentor that you look up to, that has the type of business and life that you aspire to have, that's doing what you desire to do in some capacity. Because yes, there's a ton of free information out there, but we know the time that takes, and we can't make back our time, but we can make back our money. So I would say whenever you're ready for that, if you're feeling stuck, you can fast track your growth again so much faster by buying a seat at the table with somebody that you look up to. So that would be my fourth piece of advice. And it doesn't mean you have to book one-on-one with them immediately. This could look like you start just like binging their content or their podcast, or I'm sure they have some sort of lower ticket program that you can get into. You have some place that you can start that's going to get the ball rolling for you. You don't have to go 0 to 100 overnight unless you want to, but getting that support would be game changing. And then we have 2 more. We can do this. My 5th tip for you is remembering that you set the vibe. All right. So it's so easy. It's too easy to start a business and identify as a beginner, or deep down inside, not feel successful yet. And then feel like you have to show up that way. Feel like you can't show up like the boss that you are, or you can't show up big and fully. It's too easy to think that you need to play smaller until you hit these big levels of success that you've put on a pedestal. And it's not true. And as a matter of fact, you can actually speed up the process of your growth by showing up and playing big now, whatever that looks like for you. So it's really easy in the beginning to be like, oh gosh, everybody who's following me are like friends and family, and they know who I am. They know I'm a beginner. So I would feel silly to show up really big or to show up like I know what I'm talking about, and I remember feeling that way. But yeah, there's some people who have known you, and guess what? They're going to look at you like a friend in high school in your first year of business and your 10th year in business. That's not going to change. So you get to set the vibe. Don't worry about your friends and family if they're not your ideal client, because there are people following you now, or there will be soon if you're creating good content and you're growing your account over time. They're going to be people who are brand new to you. So their first impression of you is going to be how you show up today. And if you show up today playing big and being a boss and acting confident, like you do have it figured out, or you're figuring it out and you're having a good time in the process, that is going to be their perception of you. So you have a lot more control over your brand and over people's perceptions than you think, especially with an online business. So that's something to keep in mind and to activate in yourself a lot sooner than I did. And I think a lot of people give themselves permission to. And then finally, the last piece of advice I would give to any kind of beginner coach or somebody who feels like they're in the beginning stage is, and this is, of course, if you're wanting to grow a business on social media and online, learn how to make really good content. That's ultimately how you're going to sell, right? Like, you're going to sell through your content. You're going to grow an audience through your content. You're going to build like, know, and trust and credibility from your content, whether it's a post, whether it's a reel, whether it's a story, whether it's a blog, an email. Don't skimp on that, because I think a lot of people, they love the idea of online business, but they just want to show up and start selling, and they want it to be really easy. And like, I get it. I feel you. But if you want to grow an online business, you need to be creating content. So if you don't have like a content strategy, or if you don't feel confident in the content that you put out, if you know that it's not to par with the brand that you want people to perceive as your brand, then we need to change that. We need to do something to improve it. And again, take a course, watch some YouTube videos, hire somebody who can support you. There are social media coaches out the freaking yin yang who can help you, or you can outsource it if you really want to. I'm not a big fan of outsourcing writing your content, but you could write it yourself. You could get the bulk of it, and then somebody could create the graphics or take the photos of you and put it together and make it cohesive if that's not your vibe. there are options to this, but content is super important immediately from the very beginning till the end. It's important. All right. So we did it. Oh my gosh. We're at minute 15. I am so proud of myself. Wow. Who knew? I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. Take a screenshot, tag me in your stories, DM me, whatever you want to do, share it with your teams. And yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you, Michelle, for the idea for the podcast. If you ever have podcast requests, you can message me at any time and I'll either do it there or I'll do it in a story. But either way, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day and I will see you here next week.